Totally went crazy trying to fix bugs and forgot all about recording. So let's take a look at what I have done recently. Um, there was a bug that came up where sometimes a tile might not go to the right place. And that really took me a while to figure out, then realized that sometimes um, depends, very rarely, when a tile was created, the the list on the GM, on the game manager, for the linked pairs did not clear out. So they had an extra link in there, and it always wants to find the first one in that linked pairs. And since they had one left over from some previous object, um, that messed up. So that was a simple fix. Once I figured out what was going on, and it took me a while to do that, it was a simple fix that when I did a drop, so when I do a drop, um, I need that list of linked pairs for here. However, once I'm finished with it, I clear the list. That way that'll never happen again. So I got that out of the way. The next thing I did was I added to the script right here a drop sprite. So this drop sprite is so that I can use the orange sprites so that when I play it now, a drop sprite is going to be orange. Oh, look, I actually get to complete this. I finished that, and the game is finished. Open end 0 with a minute 22. Haha, that was a fluke. And I've also put in those two, the T and the Ender. I just decided to add them to play around with them. I've got more plans for other tiles coming up, which I will mention in this video. But back to the bug fixes. Um, the next thing is back in here. At the end, when the clock counts down, the final tile actually still appears sometimes. And that's because if I drop it, the timer on, where is it? The timer on the picking of the piece is 1 second. If I drop a tile right before the timer runs out, this timer still activates. It'll still spawn a piece. And the problem is, once it spawns a piece, it will set the, where is it? It'll set the camera back to being able to move. Here we go. So more or less, it's going to reactivate my game, which I didn't want. So what I did was I took the is timer running part, which used to be after the get key ups. So I want to do that first. I want to get the timer out of the way first. Then I also found the part where I'm starting that coroutine. So um, in start, when I start the coroutine, I stick it into a coroutine called start it. And I do that twice because the start coroutine, I also use that down here when I drop the tile. So I also stick that into start it. And that way I have this pick piece stuck in start it so that when the clock runs out and I end the game, so the ending of the game wrap up level is wrap up level. Here we go, wrap up level. I stop the coroutine that is gearing up to pick another piece. So I stop that. Um, I believe I went through my boundaries in the last video. It had been a while since the last video. Well, about an hour or two, I watched a movie. Um, and anything else that I have done? Nope, nothing else I can think of right here. So, um, and there's my core routine for start it. So, what I also wanted to do, because I have all of these tiles here, and each of these I am using. So the plus, that, and that. I wanted some extra tiles, so I came up with some ideas. I only just started to implement some of them before I realized, hey, I should be recording. And that is that I will have a couple special tiles. So I've already started lining them up here. So in my tile script, I can choose what type of tile it is. And I have a normal tile. I'm going to have a mini bomb, which will blow up. When I stick it on top of a tile, it will blow up that tile. I have a maxi bomb that will blow up that tile as well as any tile that is attached to that tile. A mystery tile, which means there's just going to be a question mark. You cannot see the links. So when you put it down, you have no idea where the links are on it. So you've got to rotate it around, try and find it, then play around with it to see what links it has, and then try to remember what it was when you try to add some other stuff to it. And then a random tile. So this one, when you have it in your hand and you haven't dropped it yet, every 3 seconds, it's going to switch to another random tile, which means you might be just about to place it in the perfect location to complete the game at a perfect game, and then it switches on you and screws up your entire day. So random tile and mystery tile, maxi bomb and mini bomb, those are tiles that will come up as you progress in levels. And in doing that, I started on my tile script um, to give a couple of things. So I have first things first, the tile script will tell this tile what type of tile it is. I store that in TT. Currently the default is tile. Then I create a public list of all the connected objects. So all the game objects that are connected to this object, which I'm going to fill in this list using the drop. When I drop, it's going to find all the links, and anything that is linked is going to be added to that list. So with these connected objects, I have 3 things here. I'll start with the last one, which is disconnect from others. So this script on this tile says, I want you to look at any scripts, any objects that are attached to this object. So I'm going to go through that connected objects list, store each one in ConOb. I'm going to grab their tile script. I'm going to go into them because they will also have this object in their connected object list. So I'm going to remove this object from their list. Once I've done that, so that's just to disconnect from others. So every single object in my connected objects list will list me as being disconnected. I'm not connected to it. Okay, and how do I use that? Well, I can use destroy this object. So it's going to disconnect from others. In other words, it's going to get the others and they're going to disconnect me. They're going to take me out of their list. And I don't bother take them out of my list because all I do is I destroy this object. Once I've destroyed the object, I'm fine. I need to make a note because I just thought that when I destroy this object, those other objects, man, that's going to be a tough one. The link that was associated with this is going to have to go back to being open as opposed to closed. It would have been closed before, but since I blew it up, I have to set it back to open. Man. All right, I can do it. I can do it. All right, I've got this other one called destroy linked objects. So if I use destroy linked objects, it means that I'm blowing up me and I'm blowing up the ones that are connected to me, which is the super bomb. So the super bomb uses destroy linked objects. So once that happens, it's going to go into my connected objects list, and instead of unlinking, it's going to run the destroy this object, on each of those objects. Now they will in turn look outwards to the ones connected to them, and they will disconnect from others. And then they will destroy themselves. And then I will destroy this object. So I've got those. Now, yes, I did just think how difficult it's going to be when I have to deal with setting the links back to being open. Not sure how to do that as yet, but now that I've caught you up on where we are, I can stop and I can think about it and come back.